Do you believe that men and women can be just friends?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, I do.
It'd be hard to do.
Yes.
I mean, we're all men.
I know.
So, of course, we're going to have those feelings. And we can be content with just friendship, and we can be silent regarding those feelings, but we're going to have them.
Yes.
No. No.
Yes.
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 I don't believe so, no.
I guess what I'm saying is no.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All my best friends are guys.
Dave.
Trevor.
Taylor Mulford.
How long have you known Trevor?
2 years.
Of those guy friends, do you think any of them secretly like you? And be honest,
Probably, yeah.
do you think that guy is interested in you?
Yes.
Would Dave hook up with you if you gave him the chance?
Well, yeah.
Do you think Trevor liked you?
Yes.
And
I know he did. Yes.
would he hook up with you if you wanted to hook up?
Yeah.
So he likes you. Mm-hmm. So what you're saying is men and women can't be friends.
No, we can be friends.
But you're just friends, but he likes you.
Yes.
In that video and in real life, to the question of if men and women can just be friends, most women say yes and most men say no. We will get more into the why in a moment, but from the outset, let me say that I think humans are meant to have non-sexual connections of the opposite sex. We should have these influences. They're very important to our development and understanding of the opposite sex and to our ability to empathize with them. It used to be the case that human beings lived in tribes of between 30 and 40 people, and this would function as a big family unit. It's no surprise that in many languages there's no distinction between the words for siblings and cousins. And due to the Westermarck effect, named after the sociologist who documented the behavior, children raised with other children, even if they're not blood relatives, always see each other like brother or sister and not as potential partners. Humans for hundreds of thousands of years had these opposite friendships in their youth. After puberty, roles became more segregated. Men and teenage boys would go off to hunt together, taking on larger and more dangerous prey, and women would work together on taking care of the younger children, foraging for plants and catching smaller animals. This ensured the maximum safety for the women and gave the best chance of survival for the tribe. Because the tribe can lose 80% of its men and still repopulate, but if it loses 80% of its women, it's probably going to die out. And for anyone doubting, you can still see this division of labour in our bodies today. Men have around 2 to 3 times the upper body strength of women because we were literally bred to throw spears. So as adults, our ancestors would have had primarily same-sex friendships, but the influence of those early sibling-like connections from their youth remained. Returning to the present day, I've heard it said quite often from many girls that they prefer male friends because they don't have the complexity, drama, and intersexual competition of female friendships. A 2011 meta-analysis of game-playing experiments of single-sex and mixed-sex teams found that after each game, men got more and more cooperative than the women did. But when in mixed-sex teams, women increased in cooperation as well. Male cooperation revolves around a hierarchy, whereas female cooperation started more egalitarian, but eventually descended into tit-for-tat behavior. And a study just published in the journal Personality and Individual Differences found that when asked about how short another woman of similar attractiveness should cut her hair, the women with higher levels of competitiveness advised them to cut more off, hair being a cue for health and youth, as a way of sabotaging their attractiveness. So it looks like there is scientific evidence behind this idea that male friends bring less drama to a woman than female friends. However, in recent times there has been some strain on male-female relationships. Following the Me Too movement, rhetoric and imagery around male and female relationships have become more antagonistic. In some universities, this has led to a decline in joint papers between male and female researchers. In business, men are more and more hesitant to engage in mentorships with women staff. And while most women would never make a false claim, there is incredible power and little repercussion for those who would. One popular piece of feminist rhetoric about men is if you were given a box of chocolates and one was poisoned but you didn't know which one it was, would you eat any of them? The idea being that a woman should fear or be apprehensive around all men. But some men have applied this also to the small chance of facing a false accusation. Men don't know which woman might project onto a situation or just outright lie, so some men choose to avoid all of them. For them, the risks of loss of career and reputation outweigh the benefits. I stated before that in general there are some very good reasons why friendships should exist between men and women, but what about the reasons why this might not always be the case? Well, I think we need to look at the differences between how men and women view each other. Women are much more selective about who they're interested in sexually, men not so much. One study conducted in 1989 found that 75% of men would sleep with a complete stranger who approached them and asked them if they wanted to have sex with her, versus 0% of women when approached by a man asking the same question. The truth is that the minds of heterosexual men are constantly evaluating the suitability of mating with every woman they meet, even if they never act on it. Obviously, I'm excluding men with low testosterone here, but in healthy people, the instinct is very much alive, and it couldn't be any other way for humans to have managed to survive as a species. And it's naive to think that that dynamic that kept life going since before we were even human would suddenly be able to be fully suspended. Whether we like it or not, one of the primary things that the human male brain was built for is spotting and evaluating potential mates. The reformer Martin Luther said, "Reason is the devil's whore," because it tends to follow rather than lead the physiological and emotional desires. It takes significant work to put rationality in charge of our impulses, and it would be arrogant to think that that job is ever finished and that somehow we are finally beyond the influence of our own biology. Many people don't have good impulse control. Males of all species, including human, are typically more impulsive. Most people associate impulsivity with taking specific actions at specific times under specific pressures, like putting a marshmallow in front of a toddler and asking them not to eat it. But that constant nag of biology can feel like a kid constantly kicking the back of your seat in an airplane. You can try to ignore it, but eventually, even if you say nothing, it will at the very least change your mood, and probably become the main thing in your thoughts. The same goes for the male sex drive. "But Chris," some might be saying, "you're describing men like dogs who can't stop salivating when they smell food." Well, yes, I'm talking about men as if they're mammals. I treat women like mammals too, and expecting human beings to behave like mammals has been a very accurate predictor of behavior. We live in a world where most people are utterly captivated by their impulses. The videos which do best on YouTube, political campaigns which win, and Facebook posts which do best are the ones which evoke tribalism and emotions. 39% of the world's population are obese, with that expected to rise to 50% by 2035. The USA is already at 69%. Hundreds of millions of people have their minds hacked by social media algorithms, valuing themselves based on likes, hijacking their instincts for group acceptance and status seeking. A significant proportion of the planet's population can't get through a day without nicotine or alcohol, despite knowing that it's not good for them. So we don't live in this world that some people imagine where all people behave so rationally by default. And asking a man to be uninfluenced by the drive that's responsible for the continued existence of life on Earth is like asking someone to be completely uninfluenced by the attractions of advertising, food, or social media. It's something that we're going to be influenced by even if we don't consciously act on it. So yes, this drive to sway things towards sexuality is always going to be present around women in a way that it's not going to be present around men. And personally, there's no drive for me around women I see as old, ugly, or otherwise unattractive. And there will be a lot of drive around women that I see as very attractive. And between these two, there's also this middle ground of women who fall somewhere in between into the category of, well, if I was single and you were single and we were stuck on some desert island, I'd be curious and see what it was like. Maybe once or twice. But even if women are less interested in casual sex than men are, there is another instinct that can be lurking in the unconscious mind. In evolutionary psychology, there's a measure known as the Plan B proclivity scale, which measures a woman's responses to statements such as, "I'm fairly sure that if given the chance, this person would want to date me," or "I discuss personal things with this person," and most explicitly, separate from anything else, would you say that in your life you have a heterosexual male friend that you consider to be a Plan B? And we see examples of women having a backup guy in the advice columns of magazines and online forums. We see another manifestation of this in the Instagram profiles of women who post photos that they know are going to get mainly male attention, while never mentioning or hinting anywhere in their profile that they are, in fact, in a relationship. The character they portray online is single, and their inbox is full of potential suitors who are interested in dating them, or at least sleeping with them. And it tends to be women who are higher in narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy who are most likely to engage in such partner insurance activities. And those traits are also related to having a strong focus on online image and attention seeking. So can we be honest about this complex mix of intentions? I believe so, and I believe we need to be, even if we are accustomed to pretending it isn't the case. I remember I had an experience in 2019 where at my first Tantra event, in which after being confronted with the inauthenticity of how I was living my life, I ritually murdered the overly careful diplomatic mask that I'd been wearing for most of my life, and I unapologetically embraced my masculinity. And instantly everyone treated me differently, especially women, because I was more genuine. I was much more open with my thoughts. And it was definitely too much information for some people. I remember soon after talking to some girls that I danced with and saying something like, you know, I think all three of you are very attractive, and I would fuck each of you, but I'm also totally fine with how things are. They didn't say anything, and I don't know if they were offended, but at least they knew I was being honest. And since I got good at dating, I've been in multiple occasions where a girl has met me as friends when I've been single and she's been, well, at least I thought she was single, and stuff has unexpectedly happened. Instincts are powerful things. It's safer to acknowledge them and live appropriately than to pretend they don't exist, or that your conscious mind is totally in control of everything. Individual actions, when you're focused, sure, you're in control, but the rest of the time, when you're not even thinking about them in that way, but something you don't even see might under the surface start to change, and you don't even know it's happening, you're not going to be in control of that. Humans bond together through sharing time together and accomplishing tasks together and overcoming challenges together, often way before there's even the hint of sexual attraction. It's not unheard of for people who didn't feel attracted to each other at all when they first met to later become romantically involved. And this is because of these bonding mechanisms happening at a neurological level. If you work and accomplish tasks together, you're bonding through serotonin. If you're doing an activity that gets adrenaline pumping, then you can both bond through the dopamine rush afterwards. In fact, a 2003 study found that people riding a roller coaster next to a member of the opposite sex rated them as more attractive after the ride than they did before. This was true for both couples and non-couples. Regardless of our perspectives on opposite-sex friendships, these neurological processes are happening in the background and we need to be aware of them, especially if we are in a relationship. This is why I find videos like this to be realistic, even if it was a little bit staged.
Could you ever cheat on me?
Absolutely. That's why I don't make dumb decisions like talking to guys one-on-one or hanging out in like compromising situations, because I'm a human being, you're a human being, and I'm sorry, babe, I don't know if this is hard for you to hear, but everybody is absolutely capable of infidelity in the right/wrong circumstances.
Oh, okay.
That's why boundaries are so important. You're never going to see me in a situation, even if people think I might be too strict, I don't care, because I'm not taking that chance.
Amen.
I'm not putting myself in a position to even be close to a position to potentially fall to temptation. I'm going to keep it 100, because anyone is capable of cheating, but I will not be cheating on you.
Excellent. I love that.
I love you.
As usual, I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. I just wanted to demonstrate some things that you should bear in mind. Whatever your response is to them, I hope you can not only take this information to make an informed decision, but also to be completely honest with yourself about the mix of emotions and mix of intentions and feelings and processes that happen inside all of us. Thank you very much for listening.